Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Tower. This is Hachi. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. Say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Another week has gone by, and Baby Friday / Friday Eve is upon us. And I'm excited to be here. Now, before we get started, we got to get all the the sponsor stuff out of the way. So this show is brought to you by Castle Global Services. At Castle Global Services, you can they have an array of many cool products from internet, Wi-Fi, mobile, residential, commercial. You can put a security system. I think that this month they're having a special on Vivint security systems where you can pretty much automate your entire house with it, and you get the panel and 2 cameras for free. Or you can, you go with the panel and the doorbell with the camera where you can talk to people and tell them, get the fuck out of my house and all that good stuff. And you can even record and all that good stuff. So go ahead and check them out. They're at castleglobalservices.acnibo.com. And another product they have is healthcare. So if you're looking for affordable healthcare where you can insure your entire family and ditch, the your medical care at work where they charge you, almost $1,000 to put your entire family on a network where you got to go see the people that they want you to see. Check out Impact Healthcare right there at on the website. Again, go on the residential tab. You see healthcare and /impact. Check them out. Put in your information. Somebody from their team will give you a call. No commitment. Get all the information. But hey, for under $500, you can put your entire family on a very affordable medical health plan, and you don't have to see any partners, any doctors, and and in network, out of network, none of that crazy shit. So again, go to castleglobalservices.acnibo.com and get your information. And last but not least, hey, this show is all about supporting the Constitution of the great U.S. of A. So that means that we say whatever we want on this show. We also support the right to bear arms. So hey, the the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and everything else that follows with it. Hey, this show is all about it. So it doesn't matter which side of the lake you fall into, the left, the right, whatever. Hey, you do you, boo boo. We support you and we respect your opinion. Hey, if this is not you, then swipe left and move on to another show. Perhaps check something out from SitchRadio.com. I podcast that, Combat Vet Vision, the Todd the Bow Show, and many, many, many more other shows on there to tickle your fancy. That is all right. So, with that being said, let's get on to the good show. You've heard me talk about before as we, some of the great people that I've listened to, follow, and kind of put into practice. And I think this show today. Maybe I will listen to my own, to the stuff that I'm about to talk about as well. So it should resonate with me as well, because, change is inevitable. I mean, it's one of those things that it's kind of like, death and taxes. The shit is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So change is inevitable. The person who I was at the beginning of this show, there's been some change, whether it's physiological, biological, mental, whatever the case may be. Changes continues. If you disagree, as a matter of fact, let me go right here in the comments box, and if you want to throw in your comments, let me know. And maybe hey, if you want to chime in on the show, maybe we can even get Brian to post the link right there, and we'll pop you in, and we could have a discussion on the topic matter. So I throw that invite out to you there, interwebs people. So feel free to chime in. But yeah, change is inevitable. Change happens, like as I mentioned earlier, all the time. Change happens when there's a loss of somebody, whether it be maybe a family member, a friend, a pet, whatever. Change happens when we lose a relationship, when there's a divorce going on. when you end a 5-year relationship with your significant other, or even cutting off ties with loved ones, because sometimes you may have to we may have to do that stuff. I mean, it happens. It happened right here on my side of the world, or my personal life. I've those who I've been very close to, I've had to let those relationships go, even close ties and friendships that we were friends, or family members that we've been all about together for family members, basically my entire life, or just close friends for over 20 years, where we've had to part ways, good or bad, doesn't matter. It just sometimes you just have, again, the whole premise of the show is uh it's in regards to change, you know what I'm saying? So the change is it is continuous, and but the one thing that we do all the time is we fight it through and through. It's so hard for us to accept it sometimes, um, even though we know, you know, and not to get kind of dark or anything, but I mean, like I said, death and taxes are guaranteed, and we know it, but and we do so little to prepare for it or live our life in a manner and way where it can, whenever that change is about to come, if we're transitioning onto the other side, or heaven, whatever, you want to be able to look at, hey, did I live a memorable life, and be able to look into it and say, okay, you know what, this was pretty cool. I don't know, but even so, on a much different level, when I'll tell when I was going through a really long divorce. It was a 3-year marathon race, basically. uh I just, I kept saying, I can't believe this is happening, because again, lawyers are going to drag it out, or and the court system is so slow that you just want to get through, and we're just kind of dragging, instead of just accepting it and saying, you know what, let the chips fall where they may, and because this too will pass, right? So it's about the 3-year mark. It's when I learned to let go and trying to control the situation, in the sense that, man, why is this happening? Because we do, when we're whether it's good change or bad change, um, most of the time when it's something a bad, let's just say a bad change, we try to just hold on to that past, or or we're so focused on that unforeseeable future, because a lot of shit, because tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? We're so focused on that guarantee, on that uncontrollable future, that we just, it's so hard for us. And I think you've heard me talk about this in the past, that you know we, as the apex, I guess, to some degree, I say we're the apex predator, because we can think and reason, and among many other things, at a much deeper level. Although there's been proof that there are animals out there that can think and reason and use logical thought process. I think we're the advanced, out of the bunch, let's just put it that way, right? Where we can make ourselves sick just by thought alone. Case in point, you know you're I was I'll use this example, and he'll probably shoot me for this. When I moved here to Florida, and my brother and I, my little brother and I, who's been on the show, we decided to one day relive the whole kid thing. So I'm sure every town has some type of fair, right? Like a big type of fair. Here they have the my sorry about that. My dog scratching himself in his cage. But so we have the Miami Dade County Fair, right? Which this thing has been part of Miami for many, many, many years, right? And back in the day, they used to have the double loop roller coaster, all kind of food. You've been to a fair, you know what I'm talking about. So my brother and I were like, "Hey, we're gonna this." Basically, the plan for that day was destroying ourselves, right? So we rode, just we got the full blown package. We're gonna ride every fucking ride. We're gonna eat, and I know you heard me talk about losing weight and Noom and all that shit, but that day was, hey, today no holds bar, right? So we ate, anything and everything that could, that was in our paths, junk food, whatever. And then we rode just about everything. And I think about it, by the fifth or sixth ride, my brother's like, "Hey, dude, I don't think I feel too hot." I'm like, "Nah," I'm giving him shit about it. I'm like, "Hey, quit being a pussy, man. Come on, man. Fucking Marine, nut up and all that good shit." And I think it was like the last ride we did the second to last ride was the zipper, and you've seen the one. It's the zipper is the little rinkety old ride, and it's got you're there side by side, and the rinkety cages, and that thing goes up. It goes up like this, and then the entire thing just does this weird, spinning around. But that was that was it. And then we rode on one last one, and that was the fucking nail in the coffin. The dude came out. I mean, he was green as shit. And he's like, "Hey, man, I think we should go." I'm like, "Okay, fine." We walked next to the car, and that's where he lost all his cookies, man. I'm like, "Ugh." And I'm seeing this happen. At first, I was laughing. I'm filming him and everything, but then I was like, "Oh shit!" Then I got like just by thought alone, I got, "Oh, I think I'm sick too." And I was like, So case in point that just we can make ourselves sick by thought alone, because our body and our minds, you know, are they're connected. So you have a thought, and your body doesn't have I guess its own brain. So it'll say, "Oh, hey, this dude just thought that he's sick. I think we're sick. Yeah, we're pretty much sick. Here we go. Boom. We're gonna let it all shit out." Right. So because of that, we can make ourselves sick. Sick. We can make ourselves so we have to be careful what we think, because it's going to generate something within us, and some type of again that change within ourselves, that good or bad. And getting back to what I was saying is that we're that type, with that being that it's so hard for us to remain in the present, in the calm present, right? So because of this, when we have a situation, case in point, getting back to what I was saying about my divorce, the moment it was the weirdest thing. The moment I just said, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it, whatever." There's a lesson to be had, during this whole process, and it is what it is. Whatever that lesson is, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I'm bring basically bring it on. And you know what? Like 2 days later, I get the call. "Hey, the paperwork's done. You're pretty, this it's over." So it was a relief in a sense, but it was also a relief, for me, because I was trying to hold on to trying to control something that, hey, for whatever reason, we just had to go through the process. And when we try to do this all the time with, with our lives, with our jobs, instead of just because everything is temporary, folks. And again, you've heard me say in the past, and as cliche as this may sound, this too shall, when people say, "Hey, this too shall pass," it does. you know Over time, if there's a loss, yes, you may remember that individual. You may you they're still, again, they're still a part of us, because, excuse me, there's an emotion and a feeling associated with, again, we're talking about a loss, associated with that individual, or even a moment for that matter. That there's a thought and there's a feeling and an emotion associated with that individual, with that place, uh you know with that time and moment, that because of that, it's hard for us to sometimes let go. It doesn't mean that that we're going to forget completely about it, but the moment you accept it, it's just easier for us to go through the process, so to speak. Let me ask you, and this is just a question for everybody, and maybe you haven't experienced this. Oh, sorry about that. You haven't. I clicked on something else. You have an experience or a moment, or you met somebody that they just can't let go of something, or they're constantly just living in the past, and they're like, "Yes, yes, it's because of this. Oh, I'm alone because of XYZ, and I was married, and blah blah blah." And then You ever been around somebody like that, and then before you know it, you're just kind of like your energy is just kind of like sucked out of you. I call those emotional vampires, right? Those those people that you know don't want to fucking change, and they're just stuck in the past, and not being able to move on. And sometimes you get sucked in on this on that conversation or that and then you start bringing back, oh yeah, I remember because of this. And then now you're now you're doing the whole ping pong, who has the shittier story in regards to, why haven't you changed? And then my life is so bad because of this person, because of my boss, because of that individual, and so instead of just saying, "Hey, you know what? It's just a moment in time. It's just it's one of those things that we have to go through in order for us to be able to move on and accept the process and the change." You know what I'm saying? If you want to look at it more I guess in a more deeper level, and again, not saying that it's wrong or bad, but you've met, sometimes people. It's hard for us to accept um aging. I mean, I'll be dead honest with you. uh when I started noticing more and more that I've gotten, that I was aging. uh was in I just turned 49, and boop, boop, and I'm proud of it. Next year, who you know I'll be turning 50. I mean, I'll be half a century old, which I think is pretty cool, in a way that back, many, many years ago, to be 50 years old, it was like, oh man, you're old as shit. But I think, in my opinion, 40s and 50s is kind of like the new 30s. Some of you may disagree, but I don't know. I think I can analyze things better. I can compare. Things just kind of make sense. The learning curve for me, I don't know. Just I absorb things a little better, and I could comprehend, things that were difficult when I was younger. So, but you know, a couple of years ago, I started noticing different things. Like, not that I'm going through puberty or anything, but my voice does sound, to me, it does sound a little different. It's more crackly. Yeah, it's not as crisp. And maybe it's just me, but it doesn't sound as crisp as when I was in my my 20s and 30s. I don't know. It started out, and that's when I noticed it first. It started out with my voice. I've always had, well, when I was in America, I couldn't have a beard, but my mustache had a couple of, a little bit of pepper action going, so it's no big deal. It was part of the process. But one day I was another thing that I noticed, again, this change as I was struggling with, with aging. One day I was kind of working out in front of the TV, and I'm still a big Tony Horton fan, P90X, all that good shit, and all the, all the funny quotes. But I was working out in front of the TV, and I looked down, and I thought I had cat hair, because at that time we used to have this shitty ass cat. Uh, you know, hashtag rest in peace, Coco. We used to have this cat, and anyways, I thought it was cat hair. So I was kind of in the middle of the workout, but I kept wiping off, I'm like, goddamn cat. And then before I looked, then I stopped, and I'm like, oh shit, that's me. So I was like, oh goddamn. But yeah, it all started with my voice, and I was like, ah, damn, I'm getting older. God, this sucks. And all the other things that come with it, aches and pains, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think a lot of us, or maybe I'm wrong, but a large quantity of us, struggle, with getting older and accepting, like, oh fuck, I can't. I remember when, even in my 30s, I was still able to do a lot of the gymnastics things that I grew up doing. I was still able to do it, even to this day. I mean, I'll go to a trampoline. I won't try that shit on the ground. Fuck no. But hey, I'll go to a trampoline park, and I'll throw down. I'll do some things here and there, just kind of make myself, good, feel good a little bit, that hey, I still got it. But I'm not gonna go ahead and try that shit on the grass. Hell no. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of us struggle with getting older. I mean, if you don't believe me, well, fuck, take a look at how many plastic surgeons are out there, that both men and women, hey, I want to look younger. Hey, and by no means, am I throwing shade on you? Hey, you know, if you got, if that makes you happy, hey, do you, because again, we only live one lifetime, so you might as well make it, make it count, make it, and go out with a bang. I mean, you got people in their, in the later stages in life that still look, with or without surgery, they still look good, they feel good, and I think we've, as a population as a whole, they were living longer, and one of the main reasons, one, technology, and better healthcare, and many other, and other, advances that help us reduce that change, so to speak. And we're a lot more active, than before. I mean, fuck, I remember when I first came into the Marine Corps, where a sergeant, them motherfuckers used to look like they were, 90 years old. I mean, walking around smoking, Marlboro Reds, a coffee cup in one hand, or Newports. God damn, I used to smoke it. But I remember them dudes used to look salty and aged. I don't know if the Marine Corps used to just kind of like, you know what, let's stick him in this little, aging machine. Yeah, there you go. Oh, now you look like a sergeant. Go ahead and make everybody's life fucking miserable. And if you were a gunny, I mean, you look like you were over 100 years old. I mean, that was like back in the day. But now I look at these, these, I'm like, God damn, they look like little kids, So, but yeah, change, it's hard to accept. And what are some of the things, and when we try to cope with it, even though we try to fight it, so what can you do, uh, to fight change? Practicing mindfulness and being, that's one of the things that, I too practice that. You've heard me say before, meditation is great, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be floating in the air, with your feet crossed in the lotus position, and you get your fingers like this, and you're like, and you can, no, but it kind of helps your mind to settle a little bit and be in the present moment. That's one way that you can, that'll help you, deal with change. Another way is, talking about it, talking with a therapist. Whether you're having anxiety about transitioning from, which is a huge change, by the way, you're having anxiety, about getting out of the military, whether you've done 4 years or whether you've done over 20 years, it's still a big change. Because technically, in a way, it's like, yeah, you, even though you move through time, and on a lot of aspects, and I think it makes more, this makes, as I'm saying it out loud, a little bit more sense for me, because even though, I was, when I ended up retiring of the Marine Corps 2014, um, and yeah, there was technology, the phones, apps, this and that, everything was out there. But I think we become in this bubble, in this like time hold bubble, when you're in the service, where yes, time is going on, whatever. We're still kind of, in this bubble where we're, we're. I'm not saying we're drinking the Kool-Aid, but we're living in this separate world where you're kind of going, by what your NCO says, your staff NCO, these things, and resumes, and the private sector is moving in one direction, and you're not, because you're living again in this world. So as you're getting ready to transition out, it's like, oh shit, what do I need to do? How do I prepare? I'm married. Where am I going to get my kids in school? Oh my God. And I got to do a resume, and I got to do interviews, those type of things. It's huge. I know I went through it. And I know some of my fellow retirees that listen to the show, I know they've gone through some of the same angst. I mean, and hey, even if you're a first termer, you're going through that change, in the sense like, oh my God, I didn't go to school. I was doing, I was out there kicking doors down, busting heads and putting rounds down range in the name of freedom. Now I got, that's going to stop. And now I got to, now I got to go back to the private sector. And oh my God, I got to go to school. I got to enroll. I don't know how to do any of this shit, where, the common, kid out there will be able to, do that. So, all those things can bring a lot of stress. And, when you're going through a transitional period or change, whatever you want to call it, it just, it adds more, more stress to you. And then that's when things, start kind of going wrong. I know, when I have, added undue stress, my body reacts, differently. I, I don't need, I don't need as regular. I kind of, I just kind of like start in a way like, oh shit. And then, and then that's when it leads to other things like ruminating you start kind of like talking, again, those thoughts, all those things, that negative things that you start saying to yourself, man, god damn, how why could I, why was I so dumb? Why did I do this? You're so stupid, and believe it or not, like the saying goes, your body keeps tabs, and you start believing that stuff, and your body starts reacting to it, like, and before you know it, because now you're in this thought process. Now you're depressed, you have you start having, god forbid, you start having ideations, and many other things, that and you start going into that dark place. Somebody else, you may start getting sick, because again, your body is releasing, all those negative talks, and that everything is a chemical reaction. Thoughts are a chemical reaction. that's that's scientifically proven. Thoughts, emotions, those are chemical reactions associated with that. Case in point, you feel, when we feel, extremely happy, you feel this sensation, that, oh man, you're lightheaded because you're laughing so hard, extreme, or you're in love, is that's a chemical reaction where you feel the butterflies and all that good shit. You feel, or when, on the other side of the coin, you feel sad, you're depressed, you're crying, all this, again, all those are chemical reactions that, they just have a word associated to it, if that makes sense. So we have to be careful, with our thought process. Yes, even the most positive person in the world is gonna feel negative and have a shitty day. Yes, that's natural. It's how you cope and how you accept that, that change or whatever it is that's going on at that moment in time, without, start digging in the past, or or try to control that unforeseeable future, or trying to determine an unseen unforeseeable outcome, and remaining present, and be able to say, hey, you know what, I'm having a moment right now, or I'm going through something right now, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. I'm just gonna, I'm here. Yes, it's, I don't like it, whatever, but we're gonna get through it. Or another way is reaching out to, to a friend, a buddy, a battle buddy, or, or like we say in the Marine Corps, your guardian angel, whoever that may be. Or if you're, if you're going through the stuff, your stuff, the 12-step process, a sponsor, a counselor, whoever that may be, reach out to, lean on those individuals, lean on onto your support system, and be able to share and say, hey, you know what, I'm going through something. I don't need you, I just need somebody to listen to me, or a shoulder to lean my head on, and that, and that's it. Because sometimes, we don't need we don't need the logic. Oh well, it's because, you're having a thought process, a chemical reaction, or, oh well, it's because, that person is a drug addict. No, you don't want to hear that shit. You just want to be able to put your head on their shoulder, maybe cry a little, and that person to just, put their hand, right there, on your cheek, or just give you a hug and say, hey, I don't, I know it's tough. I'm here. That's all I want to say, and that's it. And sometimes you just want to hear that, and then you don't want to hear an outcome, a solution. You just want somebody to just be there, and that's it. Be, have something to have them help you carry their load, your load for a little bit. You know what I mean? So if you're, if you're going through, something right now, hey, by all means, that you think you're struggling with, reach, I always throw it out there. Feel free to, throw it on the, send me a direct message, send me a PM, whether it's on here on LinkedIn. You guys know my Francisco Correa Hernandez. That's on LinkedIn, on social. We're on Instagram and everything. So reach out to us, in that way. You know, and again, we're getting ready to wrap up the show. But when I say that shit, I mean it. It's not a cliche that I'm saying, hey, reach out to us. No, you're a fellow veteran. Combat, not combat, doesn't fucking matter. We want you here. So, I just want to say, hey, once again, great Marine Corps show last week. That was fucking awesome. There was a lot, right here in Miami, it was over 2,000 people. I had to leave because after the cake cutting ceremony, it was just too much cigars, which is great, whatever. But it was just too much for me. But we had a great time, and I hope you celebrate the Marine Corps birthday in a great way. The holidays are coming up, and the Veterans Day was also passed. So hey, spend the time with your family, spend time with the loved ones. And if you don't have a place to go, let me know. We'll see wherever the fuck you're at. I'll try to find you a place. I'll find you somewhere where you can eat some chow. All right, everybody. So next week, Thanksgiving show. We'll see what happens then. Okay. So at that place, in that case, is right now it's Index. Hoorah, get some, and I'll see you next week. Adios. Daisuki, aishitemasu.